Good morning or afternoon, algebra students. We are continuing on and solving more equations today. But today you're going to have variables on both sides of the equal sign. So you're just going to have to be a little more careful, but I know you got this without a problem. And if you do, make sure you're taking your time and showing all your work. Have your calculator out and a piece of paper, please. So today, this is kind of what we're doing, variables on both sides, and we're still going to need to use those inverse operations, meaning if you see something being multiplied, you got to think divide. Just an example. Down here at the bottom of the page, we also are going to have some special answers today that look a little weird. One's the identity, just meaning you have infinite solutions, and then we will also have some no solution answers. So let's get to it. So again, take your time, get your paper and pencil out. Let's try some of these together. It's not really number 6. It's just kind of how we started. We are building the last few days of this. So we're going to, first things first, draw this in, and I'm making a nice and big one today. So I'm going to do the keep change right now pretty consistently, just so I don't lose things. So here we go. I'm going to combine my like terms. I have an 8 here. And how many x's do I have? I have a negative 4x. I don't have anything to combine on this side because they're not both x's or both y's. Okay, now I look. Here's where I want to start. I want to start for the smaller x. Which one is smaller? Actually, negative 8 is smaller than negative 4. So I'm going to do the opposite to make that negative 8 go away and give myself the best chance of having a positive answer for x. So I bring down the 8. Now I have a positive 4x, and that equals 16. Now, if I accidentally move and change and add 4x to both sides, it's not going to be bad. It'll still give you the correct answer. You just have a bigger chance of having a negative value for x until the end. And sometimes we miss those negatives, so I just want to move the smaller one to make it easiest on myself. But you don't have to. It'll work out either way. Okay, now I'm going to combine my constants. A constant is just a variable or any number that doesn't have a variable. 8 minus 8 is 0. So we still have that 4x and 8 here. And the last step, again, now I know I have x's on one side, y's on the other, or not x's and y's, x's on one side, constants without variables on the other. Oh, I'm getting all crazy today. And I end up with 2. Okay, so far so good. Now, let's try number 8, which is not really number 8, because I'm apparently doing new math, but that's okay. Okay, first thing, do you remember how to distribute? Okay, 2 times 4b is 8b. Now, I'm going to do that keep change. So I'm going to bring down this plus sign. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. Okay, 4 times 3b is 12b. Bring down the plus. 4 times negative 7 is negative 28. Okay, now I have b's on both sides, and I have constants on both sides. Remember, a constant doesn't have an x, a y, or b, any variable attached. So I want to start with my variables. Which number is smaller, 8b's or 12b's? 8 is smaller, so I'm going to move that one first. Again, it just makes our life a little easier and less of a chance of making a mistake. Okay, I'm going to bring down the negative 12. 12 minus 8, even if you struggle with that, you can put that in your calculator. And I have the negative 28. Okay, so now we have the constants of negative 28. Now we have 2 terms on the left side. So I know I have to move one of those, leave the one with the b, with the variable, move the other one. Okay, have that handy dandy calculator. So I have negative 12 plus 28, and I get a positive 16. Okay, and my last step, if I have b's on both sides or constants on both sides, I did something wrong, but I have constants on the left, b's on the right. Let's leave the b, take the 4, cancel those out, so 4 equals b. Remember, you can always take this 4, put it in your original equation. Anywhere you see a b, check, does the left side and the right side actually equal? They should. Okay, here we go. Here's the fun part. Solve each equation. We have fractions. Now, okay, I'm going to do the keep, change, and I'm going to draw in my distribution lines and think of those as fractions as well. So do 3 times 48 if you can't remember how to do this. And I get 144. And 4 times 1, which is 4. If all else fails, this is how you can do this. Some of you are like, well, but if I know 3/4 is 0.75, can I change that to a decimal? You sure can. There's lots of great ways to do this. Okay, plus now 3 times 16, and it's a negative, is negative 48x, and 4 times 1 is 4. Okay, I'm going to distribute on that side as well. 16 plus 8x. Okay, now what is 144 divided by 4? And I get 36. And 48 divided by 4. Actually, it's a negative 48. Everybody got to be very, very careful. Okay, now, if you could have gone from here to here faster, if you're comfortable with that, go for it. If you need to take your time, take your time. Okay, now I'm looking at x's. I have a negative 12x here and a positive 8x. Negative is always smaller, so I'm going to move that one first. Okay, I'm going to bring down the 36 because that other part goes away, and I have 16 plus 20x. Okay, now it's a positive 16, and remember, I don't want to touch this 20 area because it's attached to the variable. So it's a positive 16. I'm going to get rid of it by minusing it, doing the inverse. See how I'm using those math words? Oh, not canceling out that. Don't cancel that out. That was 36 here. Don't do that. You have a pencil with an eraser, so I know you would just be able to erase that. So we have 20 equals, that's the part that cancels to 0, and that 20x is still there. Okay, I divide by 20, and I get 1 equals x. Okay, again, you can always take that 1 and put it anywhere you see an x, and the left and the right side, when you do the math, should work out. Okay, here we go. Distribute. Now, again, keep, change. I don't need to here because it's not a minus sign, it's just a negative. So I'm going to keep the 3x. So now I have, that's a plus sign. Negative 8 times 2 is negative 16x. Bring down the plus sign. Negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. Okay, negative 6 times 2x is negative 12x. Negative 6 times 5 is negative 30. Wow. Okay, now look, the left side of the equal sign, we can combine some like terms. So that gives me negative 13x. I'm not going to do any plusing or minusing because they're on the same side of the equal sign. So I'm just going to combine like terms. Okay, now I look for the smaller x. What's smaller? negative 13 or negative 12, which would be further to the left on a number line, negative 13. So I'm adding 13x. Always start with your x's if you need to, if you have to combine x's. Okay, and that gives me negative 24 equals 1x plus a negative 30. Ooh, that's going to end up really nice. Okay, I'm going to add 30. And we get 6 equals, now we say 1x, but we really only mean x. But you can have 1x if you want it there as well. And that goes away. Wow, that wasn't so bad at all. Okay, the last problem I just want you to look at here is just, I've mentioned over and over and over how you want to move the smaller x. Okay, so if I draw the line, I have a constant and something with a variable and something with a variable. If I do keep change on this side, on the left, the smaller x is negative 9. But I have 2 terms on this left side. I don't want to move the 9 here because if I move the 9 there, I have nothing left on the right. So I'm actually going to add 4x here, or else I end up with nothing on the right-hand side, and that causes a problem in itself. So we have 10. Now, yes, see, we do have a negative 5x. Just be careful if you have negatives sometimes. It's just don't lose your negatives. When you divide, then you have to divide by a negative, and that's okay. You just have to be more careful. So there are times when you don't want to look for the smaller x, but again, it just makes a better chance of not having a negative, so we don't have to lose that. Here is your homework. Please make sure you do the homework and check it, and then after you check it, after you finish checking it, then make sure you do the learning check. Remember, the learning checks, you have unlimited attempts. So if you did something wrong, go back, try and find your mistake, and better your grade. Have a great day, and I hope to see you soon.